In 2023, 80,000 Americans died from opioid overdoses. The majority of those deaths were not from street drugs purchased in dark alleys. They were from medications prescribed by licensed physicians, filled at chain pharmacies, and taken exactly as directed. The epidemic has cost over $1 trillion and shattered millions of families. Meanwhile, growing in ditches, riverbanks, and damp fields across every state in the Union, there is a tree whose bark has relieved pain for 2,000 years. It is non-addictive. It is anti-inflammatory. It is free. And before 1897, every pharmacy in America sold it. Then, a German chemical company synthesized one of its compounds, patented the result, and erased the original from medicine in less than a decade. This is white willow bark, the painkiller they don't want you growing. Welcome to USA Grows. The archive opens in ancient Greece, 400 BCE. Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, wrote that chewing willow bark relieved the pain of fever and childbirth. The Roman physician Dioscorides documented it in 65 CE, prescribing it for inflammation and headache. Across the Atlantic, Native American tribes independently discovered the same medicine. The Cherokee brewed willow bark tea for back pain. The Iroquois used it for rheumatism. The Ojibwe applied it to wounds. Two hemispheres, separated by oceans, arrived at the same solution. Because willow bark works. The active compound is salicin. When you consume it, your liver converts salicin into salicylic acid, the same compound that reduces pain, fever, and inflammation. Humans knew this for 2 millennia. In 1897, a chemist named Felix Hoffmann at the German company Bayer was searching for a less irritating version of salicylic acid. He acetylated the compound and created acetylsalicylic acid. Bayer patented it in 1899 and named it aspirin. Within 2 decades, the natural form, willow bark tincture, had almost entirely disappeared from American pharmacies. Not because it stopped working, because Bayer had a patent, a marketing budget, and a sales force. The drug was standardized, profitable, and protected. The tree was not. By 1920, the original painkiller of human civilization had been erased, not by failure, by economics. Natural willow bark contains not just salicin, but also flavonoids, polyphenols, and other compounds that work together in ways a single synthesized molecule cannot replicate. A 2009 randomized controlled trial published in the journal Rheumatology compared willow bark extract to placebo and to conventional NSAIDs. The willow bark group showed significant pain reduction comparable to low-dose ibuprofen, with fewer gastrointestinal side effects. Why? Because the salicin in natural bark is released slowly. The body converts it to salicylic acid gradually, producing sustained relief without the sudden peaks that cause stomach irritation. Aspirin delivers a rapid, concentrated dose. Willow bark delivers a long, gentle stream. The natural version is actually gentler on your gut, but you cannot patent a tree. And anything you cannot patent, you erase. Now, let us talk about the companions, because white willow is not alone. There is a plant called meadowsweet, Philipendula omaria, that was the other original source of salicylic acid. In fact, the name aspirin itself comes from spirea, the old genus name for meadowsweet. The pharmaceutical industry named its product after the plant it replaced and then spent a century making sure nobody noticed. Herbalists have long known that meadowsweet is even gentler than willow on the stomach because its mucilage coats the digestive tract before the salicylates reach it. Modern research confirms that meadowsweet extract reduces inflammation with no measurable gastric damage. Then there is feverfew, Tanacetum parthenium. Multiple clinical trials, including a 2005 study in cephalalgia, have confirmed that feverfew reduces the frequency and severity of migraine headaches. The standard dose is 1 to 2 fresh leaves daily, eaten in a sandwich or brewed as tea. No prescription required. No copay. No waiting room. And devil's claw, Harpagophytum percumbens, a plant from the Kalahari Desert. A 2016 meta-analysis in Phytomedicine concluded that devil's claw extract is equivalent to low-dose ibuprofen for lower back pain and osteoarthritis, with fewer adverse events. You can grow all of these plants. Willow grows in any moist location. It reaches harvestable size in 2 years. And here is the critical technique that changes everything: coppicing. When you cut a willow tree down to a stump, it sends dozens of new shoots. Each shoot produces straight bark-covered stems. You harvest the bark, and the tree regrows stronger than before. One planting provides bark forever. Meadowsweet grows in wet meadows and spreads by rhizomes without any help. Feverfew self-seeds like a weed. Devil's Claw is an annual that thrives in dry, sandy soil. For less than $50 in seeds and cuttings, you can plant a pain relief garden that produces for decades. Now let us walk through preparation, because this is knowledge your great-grandmother carried without thinking, and that you can use starting tomorrow. Willow bark tea, also called a decoction. Harvest pencil-thick willow twigs in spring or fall when the sap is flowing and the bark peels cleanly. Scrape off the outer corky layer, then peel the inner greenish bark. Dry it in a warm place for 1 week. To make tea, use 2 teaspoons of dried bark per cup of cold water. Bring slowly to a simmer and hold for 15 minutes. Do not boil hard. Strain through a cloth. Drink with honey. The pain relief begins within 30 minutes and lasts 4 to 6 hours. Willow bark tincture for concentrated potency. Fill a glass jar with chopped fresh or dried bark. Cover completely with 80 proof vodka. Seal the jar and store in a dark cupboard for 6 weeks, shaking gently every few days. Strain through cheesecloth. The resulting tincture keeps for 5 years. Standard dosage is 2 to 4 milliliters, roughly half a teaspoon, taken 3 times daily in a small glass of water. Willow bark salve for joints and muscles. Place dried bark in a jar of olive oil and leave in a warm, sunny window for 4 weeks. Strain out the bark. Gently heat the infused oil and melt beeswax into it at a ratio of 1 part beeswax to 4 parts oil. Pour into small tins and allow to cool. Rub directly onto arthritic joints, sore muscles, or inflamed tendons. The salicin compounds absorb through the skin and act locally. The European Medicines Agency, one of the most conservative medical regulators in the world, has formally approved willow bark for the treatment of lower back pain, joint pain, and fever. Their published monograph states that the therapeutic daily dose should provide 120 to 240 milligrams of salicin, which translates to approximately 1 to 2 grams of standardized bark extract. Do not use willow bark if you are allergic to aspirin. Do not give it to children with viral fevers. Do not combine it with blood thinners without medical supervision. But for the millions of adults living with chronic low back pain, osteoarthritis, or recurring tension headaches, willow bark is a documented, safe, and free alternative to NSAIDs that send 100,000 Americans to the hospital every year with gastrointestinal bleeding. Now let us talk about what this costs versus what it saves. The seeds, cuttings, and starter plants for a complete pain relief garden cost approximately $50 total. A single one-time investment. The willow coppices itself back every year. The meadowsweet spreads wider every season. The feverfew reseeds without any help. Compare that to the average American with chronic pain who spends $30 to $40 every month on over-the-counter NSAIDs. That is up to $480 annually, just on ibuprofen and naproxen. If prescription painkillers enter the picture, costs climb to $50 to $100 per month before doctor visits and lab work. The $50 garden replaces over $1,200 in annual pharmaceutical spending. And that is only the financial calculation. The human cost of opioid dependency is not measured in dollars. It is measured in the people who are no longer here. Here is the complete pain relief garden. 10 plants, 1 backyard. A pharmacy that belongs entirely to you. White willow, Salix alba for general pain and inflammation. Meadowsweet for pain with digestive sensitivity. Feverfew for migraine prevention. Devil's Claw for back pain and osteoarthritis. Turmeric for systemic inflammation. Ginger for muscle pain and nausea. California poppy for neuropathic pain and tension, skullcap for muscle spasms, St. John's wort for nerve pain, arnica for topical bruising and strains. Every one of these plants has peer-reviewed research behind it. Everyone is legal to grow in every state, and everyone can be in the ground this weekend for less than the cost of a single month of ibuprofen. The original painkiller of human civilization still works. It still grows wild in the wet ground along every river and drainage ditch in America. The only reason most people do not know this is because a German chemical company patented a synthetic copy in 1899 and spent the following decade making the original invisible. Not through better medicine, through better marketing. Bayer won the market. The willow kept growing. And it has been waiting, patient as only a tree can be, for someone to remember what it is. Plant a cutting this season. In 2 years, you will have bark. In 10 years, you will have a coppice that outlives you. And the day you brew your first cup of willow bark tea and feel the pain ease out of your spine, you will understand exactly what was taken from you and exactly how easy it was to take it back. Subscribe to USA Grows and hit the bell. The next forgotten medicine is already growing somewhere near you. We will show you where to look.